Hello, kids. It is time for a 5th and 6th grade grammar presentation complete from our remote studio. So imagine that, the remote studio here in Chicago. We're going to be talking about the railroad tracks of time. Here is, in case you want to see it, the three fundamental tenses, past, present, and future. That red circle is the verb, and the purple triangle is the pronoun. So this is a Montessori work that I like to call the railroad tracks of time. And it simply works like this. You've got the pronoun here in the present. You have a saying like I run. Here, okay, this is the action. If the person is going this way, at some point in the future, I shall run. And if I put the pronoun here, the action is already completed. I ran. So before I really begin, I want to talk about a couple of things with verbs. So the first thing that we need to know is that all verbs have tense, past, present, and future. And this is very important because past, as we know, is something that happened before the present moment. Present tense is something that's happening right now. And a future is something that is yet to happen, but will happen in the future. Okay, the verbs, the auxiliary verbs shall and will here. So past, before the present moment, present, right now, future, at some point, yet to come. So that is the tenses, but I do want to talk a little bit more about a couple of other elements of verbs that we should have in our minds anyway. Let's talk about voice, active and passive. I often tell the students that active voice is absolutely what you want to use in creative writing. Action. He crashed through the wall. Not the wall was crashed through. The wall was crashed through, that is a passive voice. That doesn't really give you an agent of the action. If you say mistakes were made, yeah, rhetorically that helps whoever said it, but we don't know who made the mistake. So I always tell my students active voice for creative writing. Passive voice you can use more in research writing. It's more of a rhetorical ploy that you can use if you don't want to take agency for something. The government can say, mistakes were made, and they don't have to find an agent for that. So very interesting here. Let's go to mood. Mood is very interesting for me because this is sort of the way the verb approaches the world. Indicative is the everyday mood. The tenses we're going to be working with are in the indicative mood. The imperative would be something like go to the store, run down the hall. This is like a command. Subjunctive, and I'm sorry that this got erased. Subjunctive in English is sort of that conditional mood, such as I might do something, I may do something. It's very interesting. Different languages have different moods, and there's more than just these three. For example, Greek has the optative mood, which is the might or less than 50% chance. It's about possibility, whereas the subjunctive in Greek is all about probability. But these are the main ones for English that we'll be talking about at some point. But I do want to get back to tense. So this is a 5th and 6th grade presentation, and we've pretty much covered the simple tenses here. So the simple present would be I run, you run, he, she, it runs, we run, you plural run, they run. And I will chart that in a minute here after I do the past and the future. The past tense would be, the past over there. I ran, you ran, he, she, or it ran, we ran, you plural ran, or y'all ran. I'm from Texas, that comes easy for me. They ran. Okay, so the past tense there. And let's go with the future. The future, okay, at some point, I will run, okay. Oops, my bad. Got it on the wrong side. Hello. I shall run, you will run, he, she, it will run, we will run, you plural will run, they will run. Okay, so those are the basics. And how do you actually put those, how do you chart those? Well, I like to teach it this way because anytime you study a foreign language, you're going to be asked to conjugate verbs. And this is the way we like to do it. And I know this is review 5th graders and 6th graders, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm just going to do the present tense of the verb to run, and that's going to be in the simple present indicative active. I run, first person singular. You run, second person singular. He, she, it runs, third person singular. We run, first person plural. You, with the parentheses PL for plural, run. Y'all run, second person plural. And they run, for third person plural. So, let me make sure my screen is moving here. Hello? Okay, good. So this is what this looks like. Notice S and P stand for, that's right, singular and plural. 1, 2, and 3 stand for first, second, and third person. Now, 5th and 6th graders, you may remember we talked a bit about this. First person is the I when you do creative writing or any kind of writing. I did this, I did that. Second person is sort of like choose your own adventure. I gave an example to the 4th graders. You see 3 caves in front of you. Do you choose A, the one with the orange light, B, the one with the yellow light, or C, the one with the red light? And of course, you always choose the one with the orange. But it's the you. What do you do? Third person is he, she, it, and we can have third person limited, third person omniscient. I'm not going to get into that now, but definitely singular, plural, first, second, third person are more than just grammar. It has to do with writing as well. So there's an example of the simple present of the verb to run, and that form of the verb there is the present infinitive. Very simple. It's the most basic form of the verb. It's usually the one that shows up when you have a dictionary definition along with the first person singular of the present indicative active. All right, so we have already done that one, and we've already done the progressive tense, but I will review it quickly for you. So the progressive tense, it's very similar to the simple, but the simple present would be I run. The present progressive would be I am running. We don't know if I was running in the past. I may have been. We don't know if I will be running in the future. But right now, I am running. So that red line across there says that we're not entirely sure what was happening before, but we know that right now, I am running. The past progressive, I was running. Notice you have that same red line. It's telling you that we don't know when it started, but at some point in the past I was running. All we know is that I'm not running now, but at some point in the past I was running. And again, the future progressive, I will or I shall be running. At some point in the future, I shall be running. Hopefully outside getting some good exercise. I shall be running outside getting exercise. So that is the progressive future there. So those ones are pretty much review. What I'd like to talk about now is the perfect tense. Now, in linguistic terms, the perfect tense means completed action. So let's go ahead and start with the present perfect tense, and let's look at where we are with the railroad tracks of time here. So, I have run. You have the auxiliary verb have. I have run. But notice the red line is all the way through on the black line connecting the verb and the pronoun because it's completed. I have run. It's perfect. Okay, it's present perfect. It's completed, but I have run. So the present perfect is I have run. Okay, put that, actually I'll flip it for now. The past perfect, in some point in the past, I had run. Notice the red line is also through the black line there. I had run. Not I had ran, I had run. I had run the race. Okay, past perfect, right there. And finally, the future. The future perfect, I shall be running. Notice you have those dotted red lines. We don't know if you were running in the past or the present. All we know is that at some point, I take that back. I shall have run. I shall have run. So we don't know where you started when you were at the present, but at some point it's going to be completed action. I shall have run. Okay, sorry about that. Got my progressive mixed up with my perfect. So let's go ahead and do an example. Let's do walk. So the verb is to walk. And we're going to do singular, plural, first, second, third person, and this is going to be the present perfect. And this is in the indicative mood, present perfect. I have run. Second person singular. You have run. Third person singular. He, she, it has run. First person plural. We have run. Second person plural. You, plural, have run. And third person plural. They have run. So there we have it. I gotta work on my screen. I thought I fixed this so it doesn't go dark on me, but that's okay. So to walk, oh, well, better change that to run. No walking here, we're just running. So I have run, you have run, he, she, it has run, we have run, you plural have run, and they have run. So that is the present perfect. Okay, now let's go with the past perfect. Past perfect. Yet to happen. Here we go. Looks like I don't want to walk at all. I just want to run. That sounds like my personality. I had run. You had run. He, she, it had run. We had run. You, plural, had run. They had run. Okay, so there's our past perfect. Here's our past perfect. To run, I had run, you had run, he, she, it had run. We had run, you plural had run, and they had run. Past perfect. All right, let's change this to the future perfect. Future perfect is kind of strange. It always sounds so weird talking about something I will have completed in the future. I will have made YouTube videos. Absolutely. That's what's on my mind. All right, so and I'm going to be archaic here because that's just me. I shall have run. You will have run. He, she, it will have run. We will have run. Third person plural, or first person plural, sorry. You, plural, will have run. And they will have run. All right, future perfect. Indicative, of course, of the verb to run. I shall have run, you will have run, he, she, it will have run, we will have run, you, plural, will have run, they will have run. All right, so that is the perfect tense. So 5th and 6th graders, I'm not going to continue belaboring the point. I think you know what we're doing right now. You can always pause the video. Your follow-up will be to do these 3 verbs in the perfect, and I'm going to move on to the perfect progressive here in a minute. So I'll do 3 here, and then I'll do 3 of those as well. That's probably enough for you. So let's do the verb walk, because we never got to it. Let's do the verb smile. Okay, and we'll smile. And let's do eat. That's always fun. So your follow-up for the perfect tense, sounds like somebody's trying to call me. Your follow-up for the perfect tense are those verbs: walk, smile, and eat. Now remember, you're going to have to do 3 charts for each of them because you're going to have to do the present, past, and future charts for all of them. So you will have a total of 3 of these charts for each one. Because you have to do it for past, present, and future. So that's kind of what that's going to look like. You're going to have 3 charts, one for each one. So a total of 9 charts for this follow-up because you're doing the perfect tense. All right, so moving on. And the older the kid, the more quickly I'm going to be moving on in the videos. So let's move on to the perfect progressive tense. Completed action that had happened. All right, so let's go. This is the present perfect progressive tense, okay? And if you look at it, you've got the completed action part, and you've also got that line there. So what is this one going to be? Well, the progressive tense was I am running. The perfect tense was I have run. This one is I have been running. Yep, that's right. We've got the verb to have as an auxiliary and also the form of the verb to be. So I have been running. All right, so here we go. Let's do the verb to, let's just stick with to run. Singular and plural. Okay, and this is the present perfect progressive. And again, remember this is the indicative mood. I have been running, first person singular. You have been running. He, she, it has been running. We have been running. You, plural, have been running. And they have been running. The more complex the tense, the more difficult it is. The more words you have to do. Okay, so that's the present perfect progressive of the verb to run. So let's do the past perfect progressive. Past perfect progressive. And one tip, kids and parents, that you have to keep in mind is that parents, sometimes the kids are going to want to create the charts and then just start like rote listing them. The canary in the coal mine will always be the third person singular right here, because sometimes they will just get into this pattern of doing rote, writing stuff down without thinking about it, and then you'll see they'll miss the third person. For example, in the past tense, no, in the perfect tense especially, I have run, you have run, he, she, it, they'll write have run because some of them will try to do that. That happens quite common. So don't let the kids do that. Try to keep them on task. Their parents, just a little tip there. So the past perfect progressive is I had been running. Oh, I feel bad. My past perfect progressive out here. I forgot to show you guys. Past perfect progressive looks like this. At some point in the past, I had been running, but it's definitely completed there. You see the 2 lines on the side there? That's the past perfect progressive tense. Okay. Sorry, past perfect progressive. Didn't mean to leave you out. You had... Got to write this more neatly. You had been running. He, she, it had been running. We had been running. You, plural, had been running. They had been running. Okay, so that is the past perfect progressive. I had been running. You had been running. He, she, it had been running. We had been running. You, plural, had been running. And they had been running. All right, we are on the last one, kids. Thank you for your attention. I know we're moving through this pretty quickly, 5th and 6th graders, but you can always pause the video if you need to. Take your time. Okay. Future perfect progressive. This is where the most words are. I always tell the kids, this is the one where there's a lot of words. So let's first show you this. Okay. Future perfect progressive. I shall have been running. We don't know what was happened quite before, but we know that I shall have been running, and we know that it's completed action. Unlike the progressive, notice the progressive, there's no end on that line there. Right here, right here, there's no end on that. That keeps going. On the perfect tenses, you always have a stop somewhere. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but I had run. I will have been running. Yeah. So, in fact, I think they should have that as completed action there. I think they missed it, but that's okay. Let's move on to the future perfect progressive tense. I shall have been running, or I will have been running. You will have been running. He, she, it will have been running. We will have been running for 45 minutes. You, plural, will have been running. They will have been running. This one is the toughest, kids. We know this. So, there is I shall have been running. You will have been running. He, she, it will have been running. We will have been running. You, plural, will have been running. They will have been running. That is your future perfect progressive. So, where do we go from here? That's right, follow up. So I gave you 3 in the perfect tense. I'll give you 3 in the perfect progressive tense. And that means you're going to have another 9. But remember, you only get 1 grammar presentation during the week, so you might as well work at it. So let's do some different verbs. Let's do to call for 1. Number 2, let's do float. I will have been floating. 3, let's do Yeah, it's snowing outside. Yeah, but I don't snow. So let's do skipping. To skip. That's a good one. Kids like to skip. Miss you guys. So this is your follow-up. Now remember, same thing as before. You're going to have to do the past, present, and future tense of all of them. So what does that mean? Well, you know what that means. That means you're going to have 3 little charts for each of them. So 3 times, because you have to have each one. So you have to have 3 because you have to have 1 for the present, 1 for the past, and 1 for the future. So you have to have 3 times each. So for the total follow-up, you'll probably have 18 charts. That's going to fill up a few pages, but I think that will be good for you all to do. So just a little reflection on the end of why this is important, kids. It's really important to learn how to conjugate verbs. Foreign language study is one of the most important things that I've done in my life. I studied a lot of languages, and I spent a lot of time doing this. I remember my freshman year of college studying Greek. I did this all the time. I did this with Latin. I did this with French, Spanish. So it is hard work, but it is definitely worthwhile getting into the habit. I know a lot of us in Spanish class have been learning this with some of the verbs. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Look forward to seeing your follow-ups on the Google Classroom. And have a great day, kids.